Good morning, Pioneers. My name is Alex Ramft.
And I'm Justice Sullivan. Welcome to The Grit.
On Monday, track hosted against Westerville North and Galion. Both teams pulled out a win. Girls won 76-46 and boys won 79-58.
Both boys and girls lacrosse took on Upper Arlington this week. Sadly, both teams ended in a loss. The boys lacrosse team triumphed over Bishop Watterson 12-9 on senior night, with Cohen Sayer and Connor Burns each netting a hat trick.
Meanwhile, the girls lacrosse team fell 18-6 to Thomas Worthington, with senior Sophia Carr scoring goals in the loss. Now we throw it over to Cameron and girls lacrosse star Liv Rope to talk about their season.
Thank you guys. And today, Liv, for coming in today and getting started. What does your typical training routine look like during the season?
During the season, we have practice 5 to 7 every single night, and then on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have liftings from 4:30 to 5, and then usually we'll have games on Tuesdays and Thursdays and sometimes on Saturdays.
Okay. What is your strategy reading the opponent's team's defense?
Probably reading the opposing team defense. We'll look if they're in a zone or not, and if they're in a zone, we have like specific plays for that. And then like if they're in man-to-man, then we'll also have specific plays for that.
What's your guys' goals during the season?
One of our biggest goals was to beat Berlin, and we beat them. And then probably another goal is to just have like good team chemistry.
What has led the team major success to the team this season?
Probably the major success for this season was probably just all of us working together. And I feel like since last year, like our team chemistry has really improved, and I feel like we've gotten a lot closer.
And how have you as a leader contributed to the teams this season?
I feel like I've contributed by scoring most of the goals, and I think like leading our team in goals, and I feel like also like leading our defense and just kind of telling like the freshmen what to do, because sometimes they get confused.
Okay. Thank you, Liv. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Cameron. Baseball had a great week, destroying Upper Arlington on Monday, winning 10-0 and finishing the game off with a run rule in 6 innings. Senior Devin Parker was the winning pitcher for the game.
On Wednesday, the boys beat Hilliard Bradley 3-2 in an OCC matchup. Maverick Schulman and Zane Konzag both had 2 hits, and junior Reed Hemrick was the winning pitcher of the game. The boys are now 11-2 in their season. So taking a look at the season, they have really beaten expectations. They were really good last year, and they've been really good for a couple of years now. They went to the Final Four a couple of years ago, so they're definitely on the right path, just like they have been. Coach Marker's a great coach, probably one of the more consistent coaches when you're looking at Orange coaches in general. So I'm excited to see how this team goes. They got some great pitching, they got some great hitters. I mean, honestly, I think the sky's the limit when you're talking about this team, and we could be looking at our 4th state champion with Brooke Chapman, girls wrestling, and basketball winning state championships this year. I definitely could see baseball being one of those teams. Big Walnuts is a tough team.
Yeah.
They lost them this year, I believe, already.
I think so.
Yes. So there's definitely some tough teams, but baseball's looking strong.
Yeah, and they've already this season, even though it's just been kind of more towards the start and even into the middle, they've grown a lot. They had a hiccup against UA, I believe, losing by 1 run earlier in the season. Obviously now, coming back, just destroying them. They've shown growth. They beat a really good Massillon Jackson team, too, at home. And, yeah, they've just shown a lot of growth. The pitching's been amazing, and they've just done whatever they can to win games, and it's been working.
Yeah, and we'll definitely keep everybody updated on how that's going.
Yeah. Now, moving on to softball. The girls took on Kaufman on Monday, also winning 10-0 with a run rule in 6 innings. Senior Emily Rodenberg led the team with 4 RBIs.
The girls ran the bases 6-2 in the OCC, run ruling Upper Arlington 17-4. Senior Callie Zag hit 3 doubles and had 5 RBIs to pace the Nears.
Additionally, the team fell to 14-4 following a 5-0 defeat to third-ranked Hilliard Bradley, with Gory Nike taking the loss as the pitcher.
Boys tennis beat Liberty 4-1 to capture the OCC title, winning 2nd and 3rd singles and 1st and 2nd doubles. The boys also beat Davidson 5-0 for a big OCC win. The boys will be back at Watkins for an exciting district tournament tonight.
Tonight, the baseball team hosts Hilliard Bradley with the first pitch scheduled for 5 p.m. At the same time, the boys and girls track teams will be competing at Liberty's Freedom Relays with events beginning at 5 p.m.
Additionally, boys volleyball lost 3-1 against Hilliard Bradley as junior Cameron Robinson had 12 kills. They are back on tonight at home against Gahanna Lincoln at 7 p.m. And so now let's roll into our pick'ems, and we got two big ones. Let's start off with the big one that everyone's talking about. The NFL draft happened last night, and you're a Browns fan, if I'm not mistaken. Bengals. Okay.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
So not Connor's usual. He's a Browns fan. I was gonna make fun of him so bad if he was here today. Yeah, I mean, not that Mason Graham's bad, but I just do not think he's what they need right now. So, how do you feel about your team's draft in the first round?
I like it. I feel like there might the Bengals took Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. I believe it was at 17.
Yeah.
His combine was amazing. He hasn't really had like a standout career at A&M. He's just a really solid overall player. I feel like there probably were some better options that they could have gone on. I know Malachi Starks fell really far. I feel like he could have been a great option, but I'm definitely not disappointed, to say the least, with Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, and it's speaking of Malachi Starks, the Ravens picked. I'm extremely happy with that. I think the Ravens are looking at having the best secondary in the NFL next year. They're looking pretty dangerous. So I think, I was a little surprised that the Bengals really decided to pass over a great safety. Nickelback can kind of play everything, especially with that was the big struggle last year was their pass defense was, I mean, you might as well just have a Swiss cheese out there and playing defense. It was horrible. I think my baby sister could probably play better than some of that secondary. I mean, they got Geno Stone. He didn't do anything. He got hurt. They got Cameron Taylor-Britt, who's the most overrated corner in the NFL. So I think that was a bit of a misstep on the part of the Bengals front office. But they can make it back. There's still some great corners, like Will Johnson is still in here somehow. His injuries, I think, kept him out of the first round. Yeah. There's still some great players in this round. This might be one of the deepest drafts I've seen. So I will definitely still be tuning in for that second round.
In the first round, obviously, Cam Ward went first, which I feel was pretty expected from most people. Tennessee needed a quarterback. He was the best one available. And then, obviously, Jacksonville with a big trade against Cleveland. Honestly, I think even though Mason Graham probably isn't the pick I think the Browns should have gone with, I think the Browns won that trade.
I do
Getting
agree
a first
with that.
next year.
I do agree.
They do have actually a pretty solid secondary, and they've had a pretty solid defense overall. So getting Travis Hunter, I don't think would have been the best for them.
No, I think that their biggest, the Browns could have done is gotten Will Campbell. I think that they could have traded back maybe a little bit less. I mean, the Patriots took Will Campbell right before the Browns did at the 4th pick. So I think the Browns were hoping that Will Campbell would somehow fall.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, when you look at the guys left, Mason Graham, not a bad pick. He's just going to add to this already really good defensive line. It can't hurt. Yeah. I think that there were better positions that they could have gotten that were more necessary, especially when you got Myles Garrett on the D-line. But I don't think Browns fans are too upset about the Mason Graham pick, besides the fact that he's a Michigan alum. So, all right, so let's transition to the NHL, and it feels great to talk about hockey, considering Connor knows nothing about it, but you do, and I am so excited for that. So we got 4 matchups in each side of the conference, or the NHL. You got the East and the West. So starting off, we'll start off in the top with the Maple Leafs up 3-0 against Ottawa. The series has been the last 2 games have been cinema, to say the least, and I have the Leafs. I have Ottawa winning this next game, but I do think Leafs probably win in 5. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I felt like it was going to be the Leafs were going to handle the series pretty easily. I thought it would be maybe Leafs in 5, Leafs in 6. How they're looking, I could definitely see them just taking this next one and just sweeping Ottawa fully. Ottawa was a good team coming in. They lit up, but then kind of died off in their last couple games. Their goaltending kind of dropped a little bit before the playoffs.
Ullmark coming in. The NHL ranked him as like the 5th goalie in the out of the teams, which is ridiculous. And really, honestly, some of these great goaltenders. You've seen Connor Hellebuck. He's looked horrible. We'll talk about that in a second. But I got Maple Leafs win this series pretty handily. I think that Ottawa's picked a lot as like an upset pick. Yeah. Especially we know the Maple Leafs history. But Maple Leafs looking strong. Coaching looks amazing. They barely get any shots on net, which is going to be an issue, especially when they play a better scoring team like the Capitals. The Capitals are going to capitalize. Silence. They're going to score a lot more on those shots. They're going to score a lot more. Maple Leafs got to find a way to get more shots on net.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll transition a little bit down, and we got next believe it is Florida and Tampa Bay, the best
Yeah.
series in my opinion. That I thought coming in would be a really close series. I think Florida's gonna sweep this. I mean,
Yeah.
they've won 2 games in Tampa Bay. Bobrovsky gets like 16 shots on net, and he's gonna save it most
Yeah.
of those. Tampa's offense looks discombobulated. Their power play looked pathetic last night.
Yeah.
Nikita Kucherov has been completely shut down, not a single point, and he's the leading points leader in the NHL this regular season. So I got Panthers winning that series in 5 or 4.
I think I originally had Tampa Bay winning. I thought Tampa Bay looked really good coming into the playoffs. Obviously, Nikita Kucherov, probably one of, if not the best playmaker in the NHL, most points this year. I thought Tampa Bay had a chance. They have a really solid scoring offense, but I mean the Panthers just look unbeatable right now.
Yeah, and then we got the next one is Hurricanes versus Devils. Another really easy series, honestly.
Yeah.
I think Hurricanes are going to sweep this. The Devils haven't really looked very competitive in this series at all, especially Jack Hughes being hurt. Their best point scorer, not really a competition. They got some good defense, but this Hurricanes team looks dangerous.
Yeah, and the Devils just, I mean, they were really good at the start of the season, kind of just leveled off and were just kind of a middle. They felt they were playing like a middle of the pack team, but they had a huge lead in points from the start of the season, and they just kind of cruised into the playoffs. And I think obviously their season will end to the Hurricanes.
And final game in the East, Montreal versus Capitals. And I honestly have been really impressed with Montreal.
Yeah.
They've had 2 close games. They just cannot get enough shots on Logan Thompson. He has looked elite. Nick Suzuki, I can't even say his name, but the center from the Canadiens, he's looked great. Ovechkin's looked great. It's been a good series. Game 1 was, in my opinion, the best game so far in the playoffs. It was elite, and I think Ovechkin scored that OT goal was cool.
Yeah, Ovechkin, he has more goals than the entire Canadiens roster, like current roster so far. I believe he has 75. The Canadiens have like 68. I mean, the Canadiens, they had to make a big comeback. I believe they were second to last in the East, like right before the break for the Four Nations face-off, and they've came all the way back, made the playoffs. But I just don't think they have the potential to get past the Capitals, who have looked so good
this is
year.
Capitals all day.
Yeah.
All right, now we got only 4 more matchups. Blues versus Winnipeg, the number 1 team versus the bottom team of the West. I really like the Blues. I do, and they destroyed Winnipeg last night, 7-2. And Connor Hellebuyck has looked horrible, just like he did last year. I do see the Winnipeg winning this, probably in 6. I think it's going to be a decent series. But I think this is gonna haunt Winnipeg because I do think this is the best team they've had in years. But I don't think they're gonna win after that.
Yeah, the Blues, I loved them coming into the playoffs. They were obviously had that, I believe it was 10 or 11 game win streak right before. They were riding high, but I mean, Winnipeg, they barely let any shots on goal. Obviously Hellebuyck hasn't been playing great, but he's still statistically had the best regular season. He's not just going to fall apart into the playoffs giving up 7 goals a game. Obviously it happened once, but I don't think that's a trend that's going to keep happening. I have Winnipeg in 6.
All right, then we got moving on down to the Avalanche and the Stars, which has been another amazing series. 2 overtime wins in a row for the Stars. I still have the Avs in 7. I think it's going to be tight, but I do think Avs get it done. I just think that their offense has been really rough the past couple games. They only scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
I think Blackwood needs to he's been playing well. The offense just needs to help him.
Yeah, like this coming into it, I feel like a lot of people knew this was going to be a close series. Obviously, it's turned out to that. But I believe the Stars have only led for 62 seconds in this series. Yeah. And that's it. You just can't sustain that against such a fast team like the Avs. I think the Avs offense is going to turn on. They'll get maybe 6 the next game and then end up taking it in 7.
All right, so I'm glad we agree so far on those. And then we only got 2 more. So moving on down, we got the Golden Knights and Wild. And boy, I am loving watching the Golden Knights. Get this, man. The past 2 games have been destructions. I got Wild winning this series in 6. I think they get the job done.
Yeah, obviously the Golden Knights are a little bit notorious for some of their roster changes right before playoffs with injuries, but I mean, the Wild have just been playing so amazing. The Golden Knights, I feel like, were a lot of people's pick to come out of the West going into the playoffs. They have a lot of stars, and they're a really good goal-scoring team, but the Wild just look amazing.
We've not seen that, and Gustafsson is playing amazing in goal. And then we got the final game in the West. We got the 2 seed Oh man, I'm blanking here. What is it?
It's the Kings and the Oilers.
Kings and Oilers. That's
Yeah.
right. And I like the Kings here. They're up 2-0 right now. Their goal scoring looks amazing, and
Yeah.
they look unstoppable. And Stuart Skinner's the worst goaltender in this playoffs. So give me LA and probably 5.
Yeah. Originally, I feel like a lot of people thought this was going to be an amazing series going in. Most people, I feel like, thought this would go to 7. But the Kings, like the Oilers, really just haven't lived up to what their stars. Obviously, they have Draisaitl and McDavid, but they've been playing good, but they haven't been playing out of their minds. Like, especially McDavid, how he has in the past playoffs, just carrying the Edmonton team straight through to the finals. But
they've always relied on their first line way too much.
yeah.
So.
And that's not something you can rely on. And the Kings are just taking advantage, scoring a lot of goals, and they're taking this one quickly.
All right, that is for pick'ems, and we'll check back in on how our predictions go next week.
Next Tuesday, be sure to come out for your Pioneer State Champs for a fun-filled night with a banner unveiling, pep band, and swag.
Autographs and games start at 7 p.m. and the speakers begin at 7:30.
That's all for our show. Thanks for tuning into The Grit. Make sure to support your Nears in action this week. I'm Alex Ramft.
And I'm Justice Cullivan. We'll see you next Friday right here on The Grit. And as always,